Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I want to say thank you to Terry Takai, who is taking care of our ITs and doing a great job. Thank you for being here. And Laura Chick, our Inspector General of the Recovery Act funding. Thank you. And Secretary Fred Acquire, who is, of course, in charge of consumer services. And then we have Vicky Bradshaw, who is in charge of everything. But anyway, so we thank all of them for being here today. Today I want to talk about transparency. I think that now it's more important than ever to show accountability within government. And I think the California voters and residents have the right to know what's happening with their money and how it's being spent. And in this time of deep recession and financial crisis, it's more critical than ever that the state government operates efficiently and be accountable. And that's why I'm making another commitment to transparency here today by ordering all state agencies and departments to post the audits that we are doing every year online and in one place. I think that this important thing is that it is going to be consumer friendly and user friendly. We do hundreds of audits to help identify possible efficiencies and also to identify waste and fraud. Many are already on the web. The only problem is you have to be a secret agent or a detective to find them. So others can only be obtained through a Public Record Act request. So that will, of course, change. The information ought to be available for people to see, and we will make them available today for one-stop browsing at www.reportingtransparency.ca.gov. I'm also directing departments and agencies to post internal audits, those that are done by the administration itself, by June 12th. This is one more step to make state government more accountable and to give the people the power to know exactly what happens to their tax dollars. Since I came into office, I have worked very hard to make California government more transparent. I opened my calendar to the public. I fought for Proposition 59, the Sunshine Initiative. And this past March, I ordered my top administrators to post travel expenses and put it on record and online. And at the same time, I also directed my staff to post the economic disclosure statements on the web. And in April, we were the first state to appoint an inspector general to serve as a watchdog for the $50 billion in federal stimulus funds that are flowing into California. And we want to say thank you very much to Laura Chick, who was LA's city controller, for doing such an outstanding job. Thank you very much. And by the way, to put all of this information on a website is actually her idea. And I love the idea right away because, like I said, transparency is very important to me. And this is just the beginning. We will keep pushing for accountability. We will also post all contracts valued at $5,000 or more at our transparency website. These are billions of dollars in contracts, and we intend to have them online on June 19th. I think it's very important that the taxpayers know, like I said, exactly what is being done with their money, and if they want to find out, they just go to the transparency website. It is their money, and the people deserve to know how it's spent. And that it is spent wisely. So again, thank you very much for listening. And now I would like to have Terry Takai come out and say a few words also, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, as the governor said, transparency is so important to all of us. And the reportingtransparency.ca.gov provides a central place for all of our citizens and businesses to really view our state contracts, our travel expense reports, and all of the audits. By coordinating the reporting process through a central website, we're really providing the information to all of you in a way that you want to see it, not in the way that we have organized government. And that's one of the things that we feel is so important. These information have to be visible in a way that it's easy for all of our citizens to get to it. And in that way, we're really designed for the public. And it's really an example of how technology helps to deliver information and services to the public more effectively and more efficiently. The governor's executive order reaffirms that California will approach information technology issues from a statewide perspective. The governor's IT reorganization plan, which was passed last May, really set the stage for this type of statewide reporting. By leveraging technology in this way, we're finding more ways to make government transparent and efficient, and this is really an example of that collaboration. And when it comes to accountability and efficiency, as the governor said, very few have the outstanding track record of the next speaker, the Inspector General, Laura Chick.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you, Terry. Governor, your action today is an unprecedented step in opening up state government to the light of day. Thousands of important documents will now be just one click away. No longer will the public or the media need to submit a public records request or know exactly the right question to ask to access these many audits, reports, and contracts. For my 8 years as Los Angeles City Controller, I know that if problems are not brought out into the open, nothing changes. We must always remember that these reports and audits do not belong to the government. They belong to the taxpayers who paid for them. Currently, there is much discussion regarding how to best reform state government. The road to real and lasting reform starts with shining a bright and intense light on how government conducts its business. Today, with the Governor's Transparency website, we are taking a great big step on that road to reform. Thank you.
Now I'm going to sign the documents. This is the executive order, by the way. All right, any questions about this? One at a time, please.
I have a question regarding kind of related to the budget. Once the economy recovers and the budget stabilizes here in California, what's your vision of the state and what kind of services it's going to provide? I mean, will there be children's health care? Will there be parks? Just what can the people look forward to?
Well, I think that, as you could see with our May revision, there were certain cuts that were made in order for us to deal with the drop in revenues. As I have said, that we have seen a 27% drop in revenues this last year, and I think it's very important that we adjust our spending to that and don't promise people things that we don't have. And so there is a debate going on right now upstairs in the legislature. They're looking at our proposals of our May revision. They will have their own ideas, and we're going to put all of those ideas together. The most important thing is that everything is on the table, basically, that will make sure that government functions well and it's accountable to the people. And I think that this, what you see here today, is just an extension of that, because we want to make sure that we are not only showing accountability and transparency, but we also show that when we have audits of where we do well and where we have failed the people, and to really go in there and correct those kind of problems. That's what it's all about. The people should be part of this process, because as in real life, there are mistakes made in government, and I think that since it is not our money, it's the taxpayers' money, people should be part of this process and be able to go online and see all of that. See the money at work.
When this is over, will there be some of the services that you're now proposing to eliminate? Will they be available again?
Well, I think that it all has to do with how much money is available and what our revenues are like. I think that the economy will come back. I think we've seen this up and down swing many times in the past. I think the economy will come back, and it will come back most likely very strong. And then one can make the adjustments according to that. But right now, it's a very, very difficult time, even though we have gotten some federal help with the economic stimulus money that we've gotten, which helps us with infrastructure projects in healthcare, with hospitals and education and so on. But, when you have a drop of so many billions of dollars in revenues, like I said, 27%, then you can't continue on business as usual. And I think the most important thing also is that while we are looking at the numbers and try to meet and not spend more than we have, we also have to take this opportunity, this crisis, of looking at, are we really making government run the most efficient way? And I think that we know that we can do much better. There's better ways of going about it, and I think that when revenues increasing, then it's always a tough time to go there and make those kind of adjustments, which we have seen in 2004 when I talked about blowing up the boxes and consolidating some of the agencies and getting rid of some boards and commissions. Now, everyone is revisiting all of those ideas again, including ourselves. And so I think now is a good time to look into it, because I think that there's ways of going where we can, as I mentioned, where we can save maybe in prisons by contracting out and by having the private sector provide, and with public-private partnerships provide those services, and we can maybe gain $2 billion, and we can use those $2 billion with the Healthy Family Program, or with CalWorks and CalGrants and so on. So I think we have to just look at the whole thing, the way government is run, and to make it run more efficiently, so we can provide, hopefully, a similar services as we have done in the past, but for less money.
Governor, are you satisfied with the speed at which the legislature is taking up the budget? And have you thought about calling a Prop 58 special session?
Well, first of all, let me just say I'm never happy with the speed anything is happening here in this building. But I think that's by nature. I mean, I'm just always much more anxious to get going. I'm more anxious to work around the clock. I just think there's just a crisis, and we have to act very quickly. But they're working very hard, so I'm not taking anything away from them. They're working very hard, and they're doing the best job up there. And so we will keep, pushing them to make sure that we have a budget, sometimes this month.
Have you thought about a special session, though?
We are in a special session.
Governor, the conference committee so far has concentrated mostly on consolidation and mergers. There's not a lot of money being saved there. Is your anticipation that in the future there'll be a big savings there?
In which area are you talking about?
In the areas of the mergers and the consolidations and the abolition of the agencies.
It makes everything function better. You have to understand that sometimes people look at when you do a merger or kind of a consolidation of agencies and departments, and someone comes to you and says, but that's only $12 million. And you have a crisis of, $24 billion. And I say, this is $12 million that will help a lot of AIDS patients. Every person counts. So let's not just look at the numbers. Let's look at the amount of people each dollar helps. So that's what we are trying to do, and that's what again this is about. Imagine if Laura finds something with the economic stimulus money that we're getting from the federal government that is not spent right. If she goes in and she finds that through audits, and she's, like I said, like a greyhawk, that she just jumps in there and finds it. And that can be millions of dollars again. They can help some people that are really vulnerable citizens. So that's what we're looking at. Every dollar here counts.
Last question. On transparency, the issue of transparency in the state government right now, when your agencies and employees communicate with the public, or they have their calendars, all that's open records. But there's a loophole for the governor's office where in your office, if people meet with people from the outside or their calendars, all of that is secret. Is that something that you would be willing to open up?
Well, I'm more than happy to look at any of those things. I've not heard that complaint before, so I will look into that.
Yeah, all the records from the governor's office, like so if we were to request or somebody were to request, communications, calendars, that kind of thing. It's not open record.
Okay, let me check into that. Absolutely. Thank you for reminding me. Anything else?
Hey, Governor, just
good.
One follow-up on the budget-related question.
Yeah.
While, not to take away from the work that the legislature is doing, but we do have a time crunch, and the action that they took, first series of actions that they took, has very little impact on the overall deficit. I mean, do you think they should be spending their time looking at the bigger items on the budget and really attacking those right away, given the time crunch that we have?
That's maybe what I would do, and that's maybe what you would do, but I'm not about to tell the legislators how they should do their business. I think in the end, what is important is the outcome. not what did they do exactly every day and every hour. So I think they should go through the process. They know what the deadline is, and they know that we are in a crisis. And so I know they will speed up and they will take this seriously. Okay, thanks very much. Thank you.